Hello, my name is Thomas Horniman. I'm the head designer of Slightly Offensive Games and half of GPS Games. I entered the DFW Nerd Night Design competition and was very fortunate to be chosen. The contest is to design a game using components from a kit graciously provided by Panda Games Manufacturing. The challenge ends on February 20th. I'm still waiting for my kit to arrive, but J.R. Honeycutt, the person who's running the contest this year, was kind enough to do a short video that roughly displayed all the components we will have. Shown in the video is a shrink-wrapped box, a bag, a mouse figurine from Mice and Mystics, a human fighter figurine from, I honestly can't tell, 2 coins, 5 cubes, 5 discs, 5 crystals, 2d6s, 2 card stands, a panda meeple, a brick token and a gold token, a panda promotional book, a square token, a panda head token, and finally 3 different boxes with 3 different types of cards, 25 to a box, all shrink wrapped. So, looking at this, I can honestly say I was a bit thrown. At first, I'm not going to lie, I looked at this and I saw a small smattering of components with very little way to put them all together. Before the video that told the components, I had ideas for what I was thinking about what types of games I could make. I'd correctly guessed that there would be cards, and to a lesser extent dice, but I expected tiles to be in the box as well. Well, I dismissed my original idea, which I actually went back to in time for my Wednesday meetup, and decided to look at the pieces and try to figure out how to use them together. Now, important thing to note here. 1, again, you can only use what is shipped to you. 2, it has to be playable in 90 minutes or less. 3, it has to be original, not something I was coming up with beforehand, nothing before the contest. And I should clarify here that I was saying that I had a game that I was thinking about before this. I came up with it when I started into this contest. Alright. There's 4. You can add things to the components. You can't add things to the components unless they can be reproduced by the judges. Origami was brought up. Folding is allowed. Cutting is allowed only if, and I quote, "Please don't cut or tear cards unless those cuts can be reasonably approximated by my doofus hands and fingers." So to start, I looked at the components and tried to make sense of what I could. Cards. I've made card games before, with varying levels of success. But the interesting thing about cards is that cards do not necessarily need to be cards. Cards are an extremely versatile tool in game creation, and since we were not supplied with a board, I realized that I could use the cards to make a board. I further realized that the board could be further divided with scissors. Just cut the cards in 2. A card is a card, but you cut one in 2, and it's 2 cards, and it could be 2 spaces on a board. That allows a lot of adaptability, but it also adds a degree of danger. The cores of the cards are different, so if I'm cutting all 75 cards up, I have 3 sets of 50, not 150 cards overall. So with that, I decided that my first game should use uncut cards, for the moment, at least, so I have the versatility of a max of 75 card deck. Then I looked at the other components. Off the bat, 4 things struck my eye. The 5 cubes, the 5 discs, the mouse figurine, and the human figurine. The 2 figures, because they're big, they stand out. and they are player pawns in their very distinct fashion. The cubes and discs, because there are 5 of them, and they are different colors, they could mean different things. Oh, excuse me. In contrast, the crystals didn't strike me on my eye immediately because there are only 5 of them, and they can only represent a single resource. Which I suppose is ironic, because in my first design, Cheez-It, the differences in colors between the cubes and the discs don't mean a bloody thing. Cheez-It was inspired entirely by the contents of the box. Uses the cards as a board, uses the mouse and the man not only as pawns, but as inspiration. Cheez-It is a hidden movement game. The player in control of the man has laid out cheese in the form of cubes and discs to lure the mouse out so he can capture it. He will move around the room searching for the mouse, aided as he goes along by the mouse itself as it steals food from the board and it removes it. The mouse is playing a very different game, where its pawn is not actively on the board, but instead playing in secret. During the mouse's turn, the other player, and I'll work out a third player once I hammer out the rules for 2 players, closes their eyes. So the man does this during the mouse's turn, looks away or whatever, and then the mouse chooses to either move or stay where it is to throw off pursuit. The mouse needs to steal either 3 discs, or they're called big cheeses because they're bigger, or 2 discs and 2 cubes, which are smaller, and therefore they're little cheeses. I have play tested this game about 7 times so far, using components from around my house, since, again, I actually haven't received the box yet. If any of you are familiar with Flashpoint, I used the flame tokens and the flame and smoke tokens as the big cheeses and the people tokens as the small ones. And the fireman, one of the firemen as the human, and the little rescue dog from the expansion, that was my mouse. The first 3 were very abstract, and I actually played them over Skype with my fiance. It's just checking movement numbers and line of sight. The game is still unbalanced in favor of the man right now, but I'm expecting to smooth things out a little bit more to make the game really competitive. I want to see how it works, but I'm not going to give away too much details here. I'd like to save that for the next video. Alright, thank you very much.